New data released shows that only 15% of California residents are financially able to own a home, and trend lines show that that number is only going to keep getting lower. If you find yourself amongst one of the many California residents looking to make a move to a much more affordable state, such as the beautiful state of Colorado where we are at, then this video is for you. Welcome back to the Mile High Living channel. I am your host, Mitch Mahaffey. Let's dive on into today's video. Now, of course, California is legendary for its geographic diversity, its beautiful scenery, and its very temperate climate, unless you live in San Francisco where it is cold all of the time. But of course, there are things that are far more important to that when it comes to day-to-day living. Having worked with tons of clients that have relocated from California to Colorado, the biggest factor that motivated their move is just how expensive it has gotten over the past few years. And unfortunately, like we just mentioned, the trend line in this data shows that it's only going to get even more unaffordable. As beautiful as it may be, California is quickly becoming the most unaffordable place to live, and everything there seems to be way more expensive than people feel like it should be. From housing to what do you pay in income taxes, a gallon of gas, and don't even get me started on the fact that California has some of the highest rates for car insurance, homeowners insurance, and the fact that it's getting so expensive to insure a home there that insurance companies are starting to no longer insure in California, only driving prices up further. I mean, let's face it, taxes in California are insane. Property taxes, sales tax, income tax. You have an income tax bracket in California that is as high as 13.3%, and in that tax bracket, you're at a federal tax level of over 33%, meaning almost half of your income that you earn if you're at that top level is going to taxes. Now, people in much more common areas of income and in much lower tax brackets are paying from 6 to 8% on top of federal tax and just the overall tax that is living in California. Things like a gallon of gas on average run you $4.55, and a gallon of milk will run you $3.50. And none of this is including what inflation has done to your purchasing power. The cost of living index that we discuss all the time on this channel for the state of California is 149.9, almost 150, making it 50% more expensive than the national average. And many people have found themselves asking themselves, is it worth it anymore? And to many, it is an astounding hell no. Statewide data released by the California Association of Realtors puts the average home cost for a single-family residence in California at $843,000. Now, median costs, of course, are what all the economists track. The median cost of a home in LA County is $914,000. San Diego County is $936,000, and Orange County is $1,056,000 for an average cost in the three most populated counties in California of $969,000, meaning you're going to spend almost $1 million just to have four walls and a roof over your head. To many, that is just, it doesn't make sense to do that, or it's not achievable to do so. That is why there has been such an influx of California residents, or I should say, former California residents, to states such as Colorado, which is where we are at today and what we're discussing. Now, Colorado offers a much better quality of life, and for those of you coming from California, offers much more affordability in day-to-day life and for big things like home ownership. Now, California does have a very temperate climate, and it is very nice year-round. For those of you that are wanting to experience others, Colorado does, in fact, get all four seasons. For the most part, Colorado's climate is pretty reasonable. It's pretty nice year-round. We have off days where we get some snow or it's cold for a week, but it's pretty nice. And it's not, eating breakfast outside in the middle of December like you can do in some parts of California. But overall, and the fact that you get all four seasons here is a big draw for many people. On top of that, the picturesque views of the Rocky Mountains and all of the things that you can do in Colorado are huge pull factors for residents of California. Now, how much less does it cost to live in Colorado? Now, overall, the cost of living index score of Colorado is 120.5, so substantially less on the index score than California, but when it comes to day-to-day living and being able to make big purchases like a home, Colorado is a much more reasonable choice. Now, your average cost of a gallon of gas in Colorado is $2.74. Again, because we don't have an insane tax on gas, the average cost of a gallon of milk is $3.09. And now the biggest draw that we see people moving from California to Colorado is that ability to buy a home. The average cost of a single family residence in Colorado comes in at $528,000. As you can see, that is substantially less than what it costs to own a home in California. So now that we've established how much more affordable it is to call Colorado home compared to California, you may be wondering, okay, great. Now, where in Colorado should I move to? And before we dive into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we will be having in-depth videos of all of these cities that we're about to mention coming to you guys very, very soon. And when it does come time to make a move out here and buy a home in Colorado, make sure you give us a call or shoot us a text, as we have made the move ourselves, so we know quite a bit about making this particular move. Now, if you are watching this video from the LA or even the San Francisco area, I would recommend definitely taking a deep dive into Boulder or Denver as great candidates for similarities in lifestyle. If you're watching this video from the Bay Area, some of those outlying cities around San Francisco, I would definitely recommend taking a look at the Louisville, Lafayette, Superior, kind of Boulder Valley area, again, for similarities in lifestyle. And if you are watching this video from SoCal, I'm sure you haven't made this decision to move to Colorado very lightly, as we all know how beautiful SoCal is. I would definitely recommend taking a look at areas like Castle Rock, Littleton, or Highlands Ranch, again, for those similarities in what the cities themselves are like and overall what lifestyle those cities offer. All right, so now that some of the unsexy, boring data is out of the way, let's talk about the things that you should know before making the move to Colorado or calling Colorado home for the first time. We briefly touched on this point a little bit ago, but Colorado does in fact experience all 4 seasons here, and winter tends to be the longest one of those, especially the closer or further into the mountains that you get, with ski season often lasting until late spring, early summertime here. Now with that, Colorado doesn't slow down for wintertime. Life is still crazy and there is still tons to do throughout the state, despite the fact that there's 6 inches of snow on the ground. Another thing that is important to know is the altitude and altitude sickness are very, very real. Even myself, having lived here for over 25 years, whenever I leave for vacation or whatever and come back, I feel it as soon as I get off the airplane. Now, you do tend to adjust to the altitude very quickly. However, if you do end up getting altitude sickness, you're in for a bumpy ride. That is no fun. But again, you will adjust to it relatively quickly. And now on the topic of altitude and climate, things like that, Colorado's climate is really dry. The air itself is also very dry. It's not very humid here. So keep that in mind, because chapstick and moisturizers and lotion are going to be your best friend when moving here while you are still acclimating to that drier climate. On the topic again of weather and climate, the weather in Colorado can change very quickly without much notice, even so much so that even I keep a jacket in my car year round. And on the topic of cars, believe it or not, you don't actually have to buy a Subaru Outback or a Toyota Tacoma when you move to Colorado. However, it is going to be super important to consider getting a 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive for the same reason we just mentioned, because a freak snowstorm can blow in out of nowhere, or it can be at the start of June and snow moves in and the roads get super slick. So on the topic of cars and roads, Colorado is a very car-dependent state, and public transportation options are severely underdeveloped. It wasn't until recently that we had a light rail or super well connected bus lines. Now, of course, in Denver, you're gonna have plenty of options, but to get to some of the bigger cities or to go and do anything, really go anywhere in the state, it is going to be very car dependent on you doing so is going to be very car dependent. Now, you would think that with fewer people living in Colorado than California, the difference is quite massive. We have less than or fewer than 6 million people living here. You would think that there would be less traffic. Well, you would think wrong. It's not quite the 405 at rush hour bad traffic. However, because Colorado has been slow to develop, and the initial thought was if Colorado doesn't build the infrastructure, the people won't come and it won't turn into this outrageously overinflated, expensive place to live. Well, we see that they were wrong in doing so. Because of how many people live here and have moved here and how slow infrastructure has been with keeping up with that pace, the traffic here sucks and it can get gridlocked at random times during the day and especially during rush hour. Like I just said, Colorado's been pretty slow to develop that infrastructure, so there is constantly construction on roads, it feels like, and not just roads, it's the cities themselves too. Colorado has a ton of space left to grow. Right now, the majority of the population is in like this little ring around the Denver metro area, and there is tons of space for the state and for cities to keep developing, so keep that in mind as you are doing home shopping. Now, these are just a few of the things that you should know before moving to Colorado, and there are tons more that we are going to cover on this channel. And like I said a little bit ago, we are going to be going way more in depth on all of the cities and in Colorado, especially the ones that we mentioned in this video. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss those. And as you continue to do more research on moving to Colorado, we've got more videos popping up for you on screen right now to make it super easy for you. Once again, this is the Mile High Living channel. I'm your host, Mitch Mahaffey, and I'll see you guys in the next one.